Hey there, welcome to a new video. My name is BassTi and I've been producing music for around 6 years now. I started with FL Studio back in 2020 and I switched to Ableton in 2023. And now there's dveight, which I'm really interested in. And what if there is a tool which takes all the positive traits from these DAWs and combines it in one? And exactly this is what we are looking at today, Mesh. This is essentially what a mesh looks like. It's a universal modular system which you can use across any DAW and any system. You can build your own instrument and effect racks while also being able to load in your own VSTs. There's not only stock assets, which are amazing, but you can also load in any VST you own and integrate it into this rack and at the same time save capacity in Ableton. Because we all know Ableton is not optimized at all when the project gets bigger. So you can basically now throw all kind of plugins in there and save capacity in Ableton and make sure everything is saved in the mesh. And if you are switching DAWs at some point, like I'm probably doing in August, you can still use this rack in a different DAW. And this is exactly what we are looking at today. And I'm really excited to show you what this thing is capable of because it will blow your mind. So make sure to watch until the end so you don't miss about basically anything. If you are now already interested into Mesh, make sure to check out the link in the description or in the pinned comments. So if you plan on getting it, make sure to grab it now while it's on sale. So let's get right into the details. I've built a simple phase modulation chain here. We have a few different oscillators here, which you can load in by right-clicking and then pressing on Add Node, and then you can see all these stock assets right here. And now we can click on Oscillator, which loads in a new oscillator. You can move the nodes by clicking on the top right corner and then place them anywhere. And now you can route stuff. There's an audio in and a MIDI in. Right now I'm using MIDI, so you can use it as an instrument rack with MIDI input, but also just on an audio file like a sample. And you can create abnormal chains with this, which we will have a look at in a second. I've built a huge chain and this was basically the first step of building it, and we will switch to it in a minute. All right, now we have an oscillator and now you can route in the MIDI signal into the oscillator. And of course the signal also needs to come out somewhere, so you just have to route it to the audio out. You can now load in more nodes like this multi-effects tool, which has an insane amount of different effects in it. And if you want to move this into place now, you can just hold it and move it here and it automatically links to the oscillator. It's really smooth and it's so much fun playing with it and creating connections. You can get rid of connections by just selecting the lane and then pressing delete. Same goes for the nodes. And let's have a look at this phase modulation chain right here. So what I've basically done here is that one oscillator is going into the audio out, while the other ones are just here for the modulation. This modulation chain might look really complex, actually it isn't. I'm basically cross-routing the oscillator, so I'm able to modulate this oscillator with all the other ones down below. And now let's have a listen what this sounds like. There's the sine wave playing now, and now I can move up the phase modulation knob right here. And you will hear this FM characteristic sound. And all these oscillators are connected with each other. And you can determine the amount of the phase modulation by moving up the levels, the volumes, or moving the PM knobs right here. And the way this is working is pretty simple. Let's say I have two fresh oscillators. I only have to route the output of the one oscillator to the first node right here, and now it's linked to the phase modulation. So the oscillator down here is affecting the amount of the phase modulation. Of course, you have to link it to an envelope so you get a volume and also to the MIDI in, but this is exactly what I did here. You can also hold shift and group things and even create sub meshes. So imagine you have a snap heap within a multipass or a multipass within a snap heap. So you can create custom sub meshes inside of your regular mesh. But now I want to delete this, so I just highlighted this and now press delete, and this is gone. This was the first step of what's coming next. Post-editing BassTi here. If you enjoyed the video already, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, which are the best ways to support the channel for free. Now let's have a look at this really insanely complex chain, which builds on the first step I just showed you. I'm pretty sure you will be mind blown now, because it does not only look insanely clean and just addicting, similar like a game, I would even say. It's so appealing and so smooth, but this chain is also gigantic. You can see there's so many assets here, and I will guide you through now and explain what I'm actually doing here. Let's also have a listen first, because I wanted to make a growly sound out of it. And this is what it sounds like now. Of course, we can also now change the tone really easy by just moving the phase modulation knob or just changing the value of the levels each. What's going on here? Basically, first, I have set up a parallel chain here. So this oscillator is just the sub, which is going into this mixer right here. So imagine you have a serum and you want the sub go into the direct out. And the mixer here is basically the direct out. And the other signals, like this oscillator, which is being affected by these 3 oscillators, is going into this filtering chain. Like these filters are being modulated by this LFO right here, which you can also process by just clicking on and draw your shape like you want it. There's also a sample and hold function. And this high pass and notch filtered audio signal is going into the wave shaper, so it's basically being distorted. And then we are going into the dynamics. And after that, we have another EQ going on, which is being modulated by a different LFO. And this is already quite insane because you can see everything on one side and don't have to click through different submenus. So this is basically like a huge mind map, like a huge cluster. There's so much stuff and possibilities to do. We only have touched the surface because the things to come next are just crazy. And also a little reminder, if you are interested into Mesh, make sure to grab it while it's on sale. It's 25% off now, and make sure to use the link in the comments or in the description. All right, for a second now, let's ignore what the mixer is doing here. We will go into this at the end of the video, and this will also blow your mind. I'm pretty sure, because this simple yellow line, which leads into something, is just insane for sound designing, and you will also love this. Right after the mixer, both the sub signal and the filtered and compressed signal is going into this bandpass filter, which is being modulated by a different LFO. And then we have 3 dynamics, basically 3 OTTs. I've rebuilt the OTT setup here, and it's on 100% on these first 2 and on 50% here. If you are interested in the OTT setup, make sure to let me know in the comments, and I can make a reel or short about just the OTT settings for the dynamics here. But this is pretty much 99% accurate OTT. And you can also add more bands in the dynamics here, so it's really cool. After these 3 OTTs, there's another mixer. The mixers just help me to organize things a little bit better. And now I'm splitting up the signal into parallel chains right here. So we have the tri signal going into the next mixer, and we have these 4 parallel lanes which are being processed differently each, and these are going into the sub mixer. And what I'm basically doing here is just creating a natural stereo image, because right now the signal is mono and we want some stereo information. I'm utilizing the need node here, which I already explained comes with a lot of different effects. So this is like a multi-effect asset, and I'm using the movement ones like the chorus, the ensemble, the dimension, and the hyper, which are insanely clean and combine all the different stereo ways you can imagine. And I'm processing and I'm filtering out some frequencies I don't want to get a clean stereo image later here. So if you want to have a listen at the stereo image, we can just delete the node here. You will hear a really nice and smooth stereo image, which you can also see down below on the left. Let's add back the node again and put it into the mixer. And right here, I'm splitting the signal up again into different parallel chains. And in these parallel chains, I'm utilizing the need node again and using the different kind of distortion units it comes with. So I'm basically creating lots of different distortion types and just isolating the high end, so we can use this to add some more crunch and texture to our sound. And here all the signals go into this mixer. Now we have an EQ, which is filtering out some frequencies from the entire signal. And then the stock disperser smear, which is also really sick. And then a dynamics again to control the signal a little bit more, a little bit of EQ adjustments, after that a little bit of more EQ adjustments, some more dynamics, an ensemble for a little bit more stereo imaging, just 6%, some more distortion, some volume reduction, more distortion, more disperser. Now I even use spec comp, which is by now the only non-stock plugin I used here. It also perfectly works in here, so I'm really happy about that. Another utility for gain reduction, more distortion, more utility, more distortion, more utility, which isn't doing anything, some more dynamics, which is just limiting here, and then we have the audio out. This is what it looks like with audio again. So it's going through this huge chain. Now we can extend on it and basically be able to build our entire song with this by utilizing all these other assets and also our own plugins. So far so good. This is a phase modulation chain with a lot of processing going on. But now let's get to this, which is crazy. I will first play what it's doing here, and then I will explain what is happening. I think this was already a great demonstration. I basically only hit play for a short period like this, and then immediately pause the incoming signal right here because I enabled the feedback chain. I basically said that we create a feedback loop in this mixer. So this signal is going into a new chain, this yellow one, which goes into some new processing. I used the M spectral dynamics here, and this is basically all happening in this feedback lane, which goes back again into the mixer on this output lane right here. And on this output lane, we have another external plugin, the ripple phaser, which also works perfectly in here. This ripple phaser is actually being cross-modulated with this morph knob. So you can see when I move this knob, it's changing between two states. I'm using the A-B function here, so you can save a setting on A and a setting on B and then cross morph between them, which is also insane. But this is helping to process the sound even further and come up with insane sounding textures, which are going through all the other processing here in this chain. So you can basically throw any effects in this feedback chain. How do you create a feedback chain? Let's say we have a new utility here, and you can just take this node and pull it into the utility itself again, and it creates this feedback loop. And now you can put in effects here, and of course you need an incoming input signal and then it has to go out somewhere. I just showed this for demonstration purposes right now. Let's get rid of this again. I've also applied custom macros, which are basically controlling the tri-wet of the ripple phaser and the tri-red of the M spectral dynamics. You can also change the color by right clicking and selecting a few different colors here, which is also really neat. And the final part are these dices here. What is dice? Dice is a random device, so you can click on this and it generates a different value of the parameter you have linked it to. Let's say I'm routing this into M spectral dynamics, and now you can see all the different parameters and you can now link it to one of the parameters here, like let's say the attack. And now when you click this, it's now changing the value of the attack. These four dices are basically linked to four parameters, to the resolution, the smoothness, the naturality, and the slope. And these are basically triggered by the dice. So the fifth dice down here is basically triggering the other four dices in a random way. And this is being controlled by the LFO. So I don't have to click on this, but the LFO is triggering this dice, which is triggering the other four dices here to generate random values in this M spectral dynamics. This is insane for sound designing and coming up with new ways of audio processing essentially. Let's have a listen again and tweak some knobs because this is so much fun. And then I will show you something else, how you can save the sounds, because this thing also has an implemented sampler, which is also crazy. This thing has everything. You can also use Serum inside and also route a feedback chain into Serum and use the audio in, even just in the Mesh FX section. And Seamless, for example, showed it on his channel. So make sure to check this one out if you're interested into this, how to set up Serum in this feedback chain right here. So let's make some more sounds again. I'm just pressing the keyboard play button once and immediately pausing it. And in the meantime, I will move up this knob right here, which is basically the tri-wet of the feedback chain. And let's say you are now happy with the sounds you created with this. You can just highlight the section, the sound design session basically, in this rolling sampler, highlight it and then press on sampler or convolver. So you can use these inside of a sampler, which you can also load in, or inside of the convolver, or just export it to the library. So you can just click library and now it's saved to your folder path, which is crazy. I think you cannot see it because my cam was overlapping it, but there was a message on the bottom right which said that the sound we just highlighted got saved in our library and which we can now import into our DAW or send it to our friends. The next thing I'm going to show you will blow your mind because we can now organize our whole setup and make it look more appealing. We just have to press on organize and everything will change. And this is so great. Watch this. It basically rearranged all the different things we had on our playground and arranged it in this new order and made it more easy to access. It did not change the linking, it only changed the way it's looking now in our huge map. So we can see all the modulators up here, all the LFOs, the envelopes, the randomization and the macros. And here we have our chain with the feedback things going on. You can see the feedback chain right here, which is basically creating this huge path from here to here and then going into the ripple phaser, then going into the mixer again. This is just crazy. And now we can press on it again and make it more compact. Like tick this box and then press on organize again. And it will make everything a little bit more tight, which is also nice to don't get lost in this huge thing, because yeah, you can do so much stuff in it. And this was just a simple patch, a simple FM patch with a feedback chain essentially. You can now even save this preset on the integrated mesh platform and just have fun exploring, because this has no limits. You can load in any VST and just have fun playing around. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will make plenty of more videos about this in the future, because there's still so much stuff to explore and to show. And I hope you also got inspired by this and also value the innovation this tool has. It's just crazy, and in my opinion, this is truly the future of audio processing in music production. There's so much stuff to do here, and I will abuse this for sound designing, so expect a lot more videos about this in the future. On the one hand, it's so much fun, it's looking so good and clean, but on the other hand, you can come up with results you have never thought of would be possible. This is basically a patcher on crack. It combines all positive things from existing DAWs and combines it into one big playground. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested into getting Mesh, make sure to get it while it's on discount, and also use the link in the description and in the pinned comment, which also help the channel a lot. And also shout out to the Mesh team, who are insanely kind people and also value feedback and constantly work on this insane tool. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. See you in the next one. Have a great day and goodbye.